Okay, so welcome back to Confidence on Camera. I'm Larry Meisel. This is my auxiliary channel that I use to practice getting comfortable sitting in front of the camera with absolutely no feedback. I know you've heard me complain about this before, but it just really is a thing that won't go away for me. You sit and I'm looking at the reflection glass on my teleprompter, so I can't even see this lens of the camera. But the point is, I'm not getting any feedback. When I speak in conversation with people, I get nods, smiles, head shaking, eye staring, feedback, reactions from people. I can tell how I'm coming across, and I can adjust and interact with that. But this speaking to the camera thing, nothing's happening. But the saying is that you just got to put in the reps, and practice makes comfortability. And the more I do it, the more I can get into the idea of not talking to the camera, but talking with a viewer. One viewer. There's one person out there, and you and I are going to have a discussion. I'm going to be talking, you're going to be thinking about what I'm saying, you're going to be interacting with what I'm saying. Some of it you might agree with, some of it you might disagree with, but there's going to be an interaction going on just between you and me. Okay? You ready for that? Let's give it a try. The method that I use is I've got a deck of conversation starter cards. Let me see if I can get this to focus. There we go. Whoops. Open-ended conversation starter cards. So here's the deal. You cut the deck, try to make it a random card to just pick anything, and going way down into the bottom of the deck. Then I'm going to talk for about 10 minutes, give an impromptu speech to the question, if you could be a superstar in any sport, which sport would you choose and why? If I could be a superstar in any sport, I would be a world-class marathon runner. Because way back in 1976 or 77, I gave up smoking and took up horseback riding lessons, which took me to running because it was good exercise for the horse, but it wasn't doing me a whole heck of a lot of good. So I decided that if I would run, and I ran, and I started very gradually and just increased it a little bit at a time. And over the course of time, in my lifetime, I have finished 3 marathons. Never going to do that again because I'm 73, and when I started, I was like 25, 26. 23, I guess. So those days are over. But I'm still very committed to health and physical fitness. They say that, if you give up a bad habit, after about 5 years, it's no longer part of your identity. And except when I bring it up in conversations like this, I forget that I ever actually smoked. I need to turn the monitor away so that it's not distracting me. There we go, that's better. So I forget that I ever smoked. It's just not part of my identity anymore. Over the past 50-something years, 50 years? Yeah, something like that. Running and exercising, being physically fit has become my identity. And I don't know if I'd want to be a superstar. Because I found out that a lot of superstar athletes, it turns them into it brings out some really bad personality characteristics. When I was getting into running, there was a guy named Alberto Salazar, and he set a world record for the marathon at the New York City Marathon. And so he was an idol. Everybody idealized the guy. And I read an article, an interview with him in a magazine, and he said that when he runs, when he races, he doesn't want to just win. He wants to crush the other guy. And I thought that was a stupid attitude toward competition. And he has gone on to spread his stupid attitude about running. If you search on YouTube for a woman named Mary Cain, which I think is spelled C-A-N-E, or maybe it's K-I-N, whatever. Mary Cain, try different spellings. She was the fastest high school age runner in the country. And instead of going to college, getting a scholarship and going to college, she went to Oregon to run for Nike. And the New York Times did an article about her, and there's a New York Times video about her, and how horrible it was to be a professional runner. And the abuse, the physical, psychological abuse, the girls on the track team had to weigh in front of each other and be humiliated and shamed and embarrassed in front of each other. And the idea was that the thinner you are, the faster you run. And actually, that's not true. There's a diminishing point of returns that when you lose weight, especially for female runners, when they lose weight, they get amenorrhea. They get they're not taking in enough nutrients. The calcification. They have decalcification of the bones, and they get a lot of stress fractures. They get eating disorders. They get body dysmorphia. They get horrible self-images, it turns running and competition into a degrading, debilitating, just a terrible experience. And it takes away all the enjoyment out of the sport, out of the competition. And there's a couple other stories like that. There's a female swimmer whose name I can't remember, and she was famous for being the oldest woman from the U.S. to ever compete in the Olympics. And she was on, the Olympic swim team with kids who were toddlers when she was world record holder. And her attitude toward competition, there's a story that I also read in a sports magazine, that this young kid who idealized her was at a meet where she was also racing. And she, the star athlete, she placed second in a race. And this wonderful little girl goes up to her and says, "Can I see your medal?" And it was second place. She says, "Can I see your medal?" And this woman looks at her with a disdain in her voice and says, "You can have it." Like, that there's a cliche that show me a second place winner and I'll show you a first place loser. She just lost track of why it's important. There's another Olympic swimmer named Missy Franklin, and she was a teenage phenom. When she was still in high school, she went to the Olympics and she set records. And then when she graduated from high school, she went to Caltech. She swam for Caltech for a while, and then after a year or so, she went pro. And turning pro ruined the fun of the sport. She went from loving it to dreading it. So upon further contemplation, upon further consideration, I don't know that I'd want to be a world champion, a superstar athlete. I don't know, gosh, I guess, putting it in this context, I don't know if I want to be a superstar anything. The values that I grew up with were kind of like, I grew up in a, tie-dye Woodstock, late 70s, early 80s. I was in college from 70 to 75. So about 70 to 80, And it was a human potential movement. The idea was to enjoy the experience of stretching your limits and just trying to achieve your potential, whatever that was. And I used to be a professional counselor, individual and marriage counseling. So I made up a little magnetic postcard that said, take up health as a hobby. I've never seen a healthy person that looked bad. And I made up the postcard because of a stress management group that I was running. And I consulted all the professional materials for this stuff on stress management. And I found out that they all say pretty much the same thing. That it's eat well, sleep well, exercise, meditate or pray, have a hobby, make friends. And then I came up with another one of my own, which was eat well, sleep well, exercise, meditate or pray, have a hobby, make friends, and find meaning and purpose in what you do. And that's my treatise on being a superstar. To tell you the truth, I want to develop my potential, whatever that, but I don't want to be a superstar anything. What else? There's something else that just crossed my mind on this. Oh, I'm 73, and when I was in the ending phase of my career, I came up with a motto. It's do the most I can, do the best I can, for as long as I can. And when I reach the end, I'll come back to tell you if there is life after death. I'll tell you what's on the other side. But until now, thanks for watching. I hope this gives you some ideas about how you want to develop your own style. I hope that the process is helping me to become more familiar, more relatable, and have better intimate contact with the people who are watching. And I enjoy achieving my potential, and the ultimate goal for this is to develop a YouTube channel about civil discussion of ideas and issues and current event topics for people who are interested in civil discussion. And then hopefully, if I can get the channel monetized, I'm going to take the proceeds and donate to Doctors Without Borders, Amnesty International, Feeding America, and Oxfam, which is a World Hunger Relief, Poverty, and Relief NGO. The name of the channel is The Examined Life. I'll put a link in the description. Once again, thanks for watching. I hope you stayed with me to the end, because most people don't. It's the way it goes. I'll get better, you'll stay longer. Bye for now.